Well, should you pray, prep, or both? That's what I want to talk about today. Good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I hope you all are well today. Had something that kind of reminded me about the subject I want to talk about today. But for those of you who are following along with the Audible reading of the Stonemont series over on the Patreon channel, I just got done putting up Chapter 4 of the revival of, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, the Stonemont series, our sponsor, my books, yes. If you're serious about preparedness and you haven't read these, I'd suggest this be the next thing that you do, and the links on how to get them are down below in the information section. I'm in the process of reading the Audibles. I've already done the entire reversion, and now we're working our way through the revival. So the Chapter 4 is up there on the Stonemont level. So if you're not with us, we'd love to have you. And if you're on Patreon, but you're not on the Stonemont level, you can upgrade to it so you can get all the Audible books and everything like that. Also, I just yesterday I put up on the Patreon channel lessons from the Larry Vickers case. If you're familiar with what's happened with Larry Vickers, most of you, if you're not familiar with Larry Vickers, just Google him. If you're not familiar with what happened with him, pleading guilty to a number of counts of conspiracy having to do with automatic weapons. Look that up too. Anyway, you can go to that. I cover it all, and I give the sources, including the U.S. Attorney's report on it over on the Patreon channel. It is something to be concerned about. And there are some real lessons in there, and I talk about the lessons. So that's on Patreon. I've also put up over there a couple of other things recently, the dangers of living in rural America, and lighting for safety and security and defense and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that you get on Patreon you don't get on the YouTube channel. Yes, the link's down below. It shows you how to get to our channel. Okay, now, should you pray, prep, or both? Well, of course, you know what the answer is, but let me back up and get to the answer through reasoning. Okay, something came up that I saw something came up that reminded me of Guy Mesker. If any of you followed the fight game for years and years, Guy was he was a number of things, known a lot for his MMA fights. He came out of Pancrase. He was with Ken Shamrock. He was a part of the Lions Den. Ran their Dallas operations. Nice guy, really nice guy. Met him down at the Living Legends get together. Gosh, that's got to be around 2000, something like that. Anyway, nice guy. So that when the thoughts of Metzger came up, that made me think of something else, which brings us to our topic. I walked into a gym. This is way back, again, around the year 2000, maybe a little bit before that. And I ran into a guy that I knew, big cage fighter, nice guy, really nice guy. And just a horse. I mean, this guy was a mountain, you know. And he said he had finally gotten a fight with Metzger. I forget what group it was through. It doesn't matter. But I said, well, that's great, man. I mean, you know. I says, are you training? Are you training harder than you think he is? And he says, well, nope, but I'm praying harder. Well, he lost to Metzger. I don't remember exactly. I think it was a TKO from punches. I don't know. Because the other guy was more of a grappler. Metzger brought everything to the table, which is another lesson about preparedness. Bring everything. Too many people are strong in one area and they rely on that, and they don't have the diversification that's important. Okay? And we've talked about that before. Well, this brings us to the question: should you pray, prep, or or both? And of course, the answer is both. But there are a lot of people out there who concentrate on one at the expense of the other, thinking that one is more important than the other. Now, we get more comments on here, and that say, "Well, I'm prayed up. The most important thing to do is pray," and I'll certainly agree with that. The most important thing is the proper relationship with the Lord, and then following His directions. Now, see, a lot of people fall short on that second part, and then following His directions. And so they don't prep physically like they should, because they're counting on the Lord that no matter what happens, He's going to come save them. They're counting on the rapture or whatever, or his divine intervention. Not that He couldn't do it, but He has told us directly that we have a hand in our own maintenance, sustenance, defense, everything like that. And I always refer back to Christ telling His disciples, when He was being ready to be arrested. He says, when I have been with you, did you lack anything? No, Lord, we didn't. Well, now I'm going away to a place you can't come. And He was saying now that He was no longer going to be physically with them. And this is an important part. People will say, well, Jesus is with me always. Well, that's, that's a theological argument I don't want to get into here. Maybe I'll do it on the church channel one of these days. I don't know. It's a theological misunderstanding that many people have. And so He said, I'm not going to be with you here physically. He says, so, if you have a person and script, meaning money, take it with you, because it's going to be up to you. I'm not going to feed you anymore, from those who contribute to our cause, and from, fish and bread and all that. I'm not going to be here to do that. And it's going to be up to you to do that. And, if you go forward, I mean, the disciples, as they went out and carried the message, they were supported by those groups. Paul even continued making tents. He was a tent maker, and he continued. So he was providing for his own sustenance and his own preparedness, essentially. The second thing that Jesus said about that was, if you don't have a sword, sell your garment and buy one. There's also some misunderstanding in that, because in the next verse it says, "See, here we have two," and then Jesus says that's enough. Well, I'm not going to again get into a theological discussion here. Some people say, "Well, only two swords for the whole group was enough." No, that's not what it meant. He's saying, if you don't have, he's speaking specifically to them individually. If you don't have, he who does not have a sword, let him sell his garment, an important piece of clothing, and buy one. Okay, and that is showing His direction. You are now responsible for your physical welfare. I'm not going to be here anymore. I'm sending a comforter, who will be with you spiritually, but I'm not going to be here with you any longer physically to take care of your physical needs. It's up to you. Okay, and that was His admonition. And too many people in the prepper world don't understand it. Many of them haven't read it, because I know that when I run into people and I explain this to them, they go, "Well, I never read that." Well, that's a shame, because the Bible is the greatest preparedness book there's ever been written. Books, but that's ever been written. All the instructions you would need are in there. And, of course, central to it is our spiritual relationship with the Father, and our acceptance of the Son as our Savior. Again, I won't get into the theological discussion on that, but also all of the lessons and directions it gives us for being physically responsible for our lives and our preparedness. Our daily lives as we go through, day to day, and then our preparedness for the future. The stories of direction to be prepared all through the Bible. So, that's one thing that I see a lot of weakness on from many people in the preparedness world. Okay, a reliance is it's almost, and it kind of goes back to the temptation of Christ. It goes back. It's tempting God. It's tempting God. It's saying, I'm not going to take care of myself. I'm not going to do the things that you have directed me to do to take care of my daily lives and preparedness. If anything happens, I expect you to take care of me. Okay, simple as that. On the other side now, we have those who are all about guns and ammo and food and everything like that and fall way short on the praying. They forget. The first thing that you want to do in any situation is pray. Because you have the wisest, and it's even diminishing to refer to God as the wisest, but He is, the one with all knowledge, the one with all care, the one with all love for you, your Creator. Not to first go to Him and say, direct me in this, is one of the most foolish things you can do. If you had an expert, and you look at, just look across the gamut of YouTube videos, and I see if somebody, is seen to be an expert on something, a lot of people go to them for advice, right? And well, here you have the person that is far beyond the expert, the one who designed everything, created you, has told you exactly what you should do, who loves you beyond your understanding, and you don't go to Him first at the very start of your day and then through the day and ask Him to direct you. What should I do? What should I do? Should I stack more food? Should I buy more guns? Should I relax a little bit? Should I, where should I live? Things like that. And so the people, I probably don't have to explain that anymore, but that's really when people rely totally on themselves, and we talk about being self-reliant, and that's good. But when they rely on themselves without relying first on God, they're relying on someone who really doesn't know it all. I know I don't know it all. I don't know you, but I suspect you don't know it all, right? None of us do. That's what I'm saying. Well, God does. Don't you want Him in all of your planning and all of your prepping? Of course you do. So the answer to this is both. Should you pray, prep, or both? The answer obviously is both. If you're a little light on one, and this is my suggestion for today, if you're a little light on one, strengthen that one. Understand that reliance on God's direction is imperative, but one of His directions was for you to take those steps that are necessary for sustaining yourself and your safety. And then if you're really heavy on getting stuff, but you don't start each day, or don't include, by asking Him for His direction, or you don't include Him in all of your decisions, you're missing out. He's the one who can tell you and everything and guide you in those ways, right? There's a way that seems right to a man but leads to death. A lot of times we think that we know what's right, and it turns out that we don't, and it was something else entirely, and we didn't understand it because we were so driven to do it the way we think it should be done. When we leave it up to Him, things work out perfectly, far beyond what we ever could have imagined or planned for ourselves. So That turned into kind of a sermon, didn't it? I didn't actually mean it to, but there's no reason that it shouldn't, because that's the most important thing in your life, whether you realize it or not. So think about that. Remember, join us on Patreon if you would like. The link is down below. See what I had to say about the Larry Vickers situation. It's something that you really want to think about. And join us for the audibles over there. And remember, our sponsor, the Stonemont series, the Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. And those are available. You can get them on Amazon, but the best place to get them is from me directly through our website, stonemont.us, and then I get to sign them for you. There's a place on there when you order. It says, would you like Steve to write something in your book? And you say, yeah, Steve, would you say such and such and such and such, or to my Uncle Bob, or whatever. And I'm happy. I'm not just happy, I love to do it because I love my relationship with my readers. So there you have it. The links are down below. Think about what we talked about today. Praying, prepping, both. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And preparing is both physical and spiritual. So you do the things you need to do today to prepare well so that you'll live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.